GrokTALK.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning, the Manchester area's only locally owned, locally operated, focused, and interested, riveting radio show, heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW, New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at GerardAtLarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
3, 2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of GrokTALK, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared, extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio, microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
GrokTALK.
All right, welcome back to GrokTALK. Skip called during the break. Mike's talking to him. I don't know what about. Skip should be in bed resting because he's sick. But I guess he didn't want to do that. So maybe he's just like, he's babysitting us. Well, somebody needs to do that, right? He normally does it while he's here.
While Skip's away, the squirrels will play.
That's right. Okay, so thanks again to Patrick Page for coming in. Next segment, we'll have Eileen Landys on. This is GrokTALK, brought to you by GraniteGrok.com and the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers, coming to you live and then pre-recorded for my podcast listeners from 8 North Main Street in beautiful Concord, New Hampshire. A little chilly this morning, getting up in the 40s. Autumn's coming. The trees are beautiful. Get your fannies up here and check out the foliage because we want your money. That's right. We like tourists here in New Hampshire. And,
yes, we do.
Despite the global warming, it's still has autumn, and we still have a great ski season coming ahead. So
and I think the temperatures are a little lower than average for this time of the year, but it's cool, it's beautiful, the colors are great, and once a day or so as rain has passed, we're going to be back to beautiful sunshine again.
Yeah, so come visit New Hampshire, ladies and gentlemen, spend a bunch of money, then go home. All right. Moving on to our next guest, Josh Moore is running for the New Hampshire House. He's from the town of Merrimack, where I'm from. And I forget the district number because they changed them and I never remember, but he can remind us. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great to have you here. So you were in a primary. Correct?
I was.
You were. And who didn't win?
Representative Kathleen Stroud, who's currently rep until December 3rd.
She got voted out?
She did.
All right. Yay. Let me just say that. I like Kathleen is roughly an 80-20 Republican, but she's big on unions. She works for the FAA. Nice enough lady, but she's bad on union issues. She voted against right to work, and that was one of my hot-button issues because, in my opinion, unions support, defend, and finance the entire Democratic agenda. So if you're going to defend forced unionization, you can't get away from everything that they support.
Right. And if the Democrats call themselves the Labour Party, as they are in England, which are run by the unions, or the Socialist Party, the Socialist, the Socialist.
You're filling in for me. Usually I do that.
Yeah, Working People's Party or something. I could get it, but they don't call themselves that. But they're still financed to a large extent by the unions, and we want to defend your right to work or not work for companies at your choice, not because the union says, well, you can't work here unless you pay us.
So, Josh, did you hear about that kind of argument when you were walking around talking about your primary and running for the House? I mean,
No, actually, I heard a lot about the economy, people talking about how they really cared about that, which is fantastic, but unions do affect it.
Yeah, economy and jobs, economy and jobs, economy and jobs, economy and jobs. People want to talk about Ebola. People want to talk about ISIS. People want to talk. It's economy and jobs. We've been talking about it all morning.
Yeah. Well, my two hot button issues are Second Amendment and school choice, killing Common Core, destroying it entirely, taking a stand for what's right. And I'm very much pro-right to work, 100%. I was actually talking to a friend about that the other day, and he said, well, I don't really know. I'm not really sure if I like that. And I said, well, why not? I said, I thought you were about choice.
Let me ask you a question. If you worked for a company, I'm not asking you, I'm saying you should ask people these questions. If you worked for a company and they forced you to give them $30 every month to finance some separate group of individuals whose primary role would be to engage in political activity regardless of your support for it, how would you feel about that?
I'd be pretty mad.
Yeah, so, people don't understand that's all union bosses are. And union workers have been proven time and time again, if you give them the choice, they won't pay the dues.
Yep.
How about
that's what Scott Walker did in Wisconsin.
Exactly.
He made union membership voluntary in the public sector, and lo and behold, the public workers in droves said, "You know what? I'd rather not pay you to use my money against me."
I'd rather keep my $30 or whatever
it.
it is personally. So, right to work, obviously. How about making it so that the state can't collect dues for the unions? Right now, we automatically withdraw that from the checks. Are you against that?
Yeah, I'm against it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You talked about school choice. Clearly, that's a standard conservative issue. Everybody believes that parents should choose, not just politicians.
I believe the money should follow the child, and if the state wishes to operate schools that can operate on the amount of money provided per child, so be it. And if the parent chooses to take the child and the money elsewhere and either pay more or maybe not pay more to be at a private school, then so much the better. And the shocking part of this is going to be that charter schools, by and large, cost less per child than the state-operated schools. So the state would save money if the money followed the child. But shock, horror, but that would mean the loss of union jobs. No, we can't have that.
No, we might have some more private sector jobs, God forbid. So anyway, let's let you talk about these issues instead of us, because we talk about them all the time. All right, so Second Amendment, school choice, right to work. Let's talk about some other stuff. Your jobs in the economy. Let's talk about that, because that's a big issue.
Yeah, I'm all for the free market taking over any and everything it possibly can. I mean, the federal government only has 18 enumerated powers in the Constitution, and anything else left over is for the states and the people. That's from the 10th Amendment, and that's where I get my education stance. People don't get that. They ask me the question on that. So going off that, when you're talking about health care, I don't have health care. I'm young. Frankly, I choose not to have it. I don't need it. But some people disagree with me. They actually get mad at me and they say, "Why don't you want it?" I say, "I don't know."
You know what? If you didn't have a car, you still have to have car insurance. See that?
Right?
I
know. So I tell people, I say, let the federal government get it out of the way entirely, and let the free market take over. Let choice open up. Allow people to choose.
That's been a huge argument on my behalf. With regard to New Hampshire's business situation.
Yeah.
I've said repeatedly that we need to tell Obamacare to go to hell and just open up our insurance market and watch what happens.
Thank you. It's about time somebody was on board with that.
Well, it's the O'Brien plan, and I've been thinking the same thing. And, of course, he enumerated it in a bill and has talked about it repeatedly, and a lot of people support that idea. So he was sort of the spokesperson, publicly for that, even though it's come up and a lot of people talk about it. Republicans have been mentioning it for years. Why don't we open the marketplace up? It's not open. Jean Shaheen shut it down even tighter than it ever was when she was a state senator, and then she helped shut it down some more. And people are like, well, the federal government this, the federal government that. Last segment we were talking about how we need state legislators and governors and attorneys general who will fight the money running off to the federal government so we can scrap and scratch to get it back. And so we need all the House reps we can get, all the state senators we can get, and we need a governor who will support a bureaucracy that gets thinner, but whose purpose is to defend us from the federal government.
Absolutely.
So, how did you what made you decide to run? I mean, that's, this is often, especially since you have conservative positions, liberty positions, what you're really doing is saying, Democrats, throw stuff at me. Why did you decide to step in and
are they throwing stuff at you? But
yeah.
Go for it.
Well, as I'm 25, and as a young man, I've grown up here in New Hampshire for 10 years now. When I moved here when I was 15, so I'm actually a product of the Merrimack school system, and First of all, I did not like what was going on there. There was a lot of things that were being taught I had to stand up against, and that's part of my explanation to people as far as what have you done that is credible in getting you into office is, well, I took a stand in high school. I combated it for 4 years. I got called names for it. I got threatened for it. But, hey, big deal. It's politics, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's living life. So that's really what got me involved. I've been involved in my church all my life, and I believe in making a difference, and I want to take back education for the parents, and I want to defend the constitutional rights of the people. And my campaign slogan is actually bringing back we the people. So that's really where I stand with it. And it's time somebody stands up and fights. And there's a lot of young people that are on, quote, the liberal side, and I think there's a a misunderstanding. I think a lot of young people really do think conservative. They're just not they don't know where to stand with it, and they need somebody to rise up and take a stand and show them the path. And I'm not necessarily saying that's me, but I'd like to be part of that movement.
Do you think? Go
Yeah,
ahead, because I just derailed my own question.
I think that's a marvelous thing to do. And, during the senatorial primary, what we noticed was an amazing number of the young were actually attracted to Jim Rubens and to a lesser extent Bob Smith, because they preached freedom from government intrusion, freedom from the NSA. And I think those are a winning argument. Keep the federal government out of our lives and out of our pockets.
Right. Yeah, I think you'll find a lot of young people moving more to the libertarian side of things, which I don't have a problem with entirely, but I am very socially conservative. And I voted for Bob Smith. I really liked his stance, and going toward that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I know. But looking in the future, we still have good candidates out there. Despite those who lost, we still have really good candidates, and those of us who are going to take a stand will fight. I've already talked to them, actually.
I think it's important that you have, and this is an excellent example because you have somebody who's young, vocal. We talk about Marilyn Garcia a lot. She's only 31 years old. She's young. She's vocal. In the grand scheme of politics, anyway, 31 is pretty young. 25 is obviously younger. But, you having been a young person, my oldest son is 19. He just started college. I have a senior in Merrimack High. I'm aware of, their being the children of a converted conservative constitutionalist. They're aware of my perspective. I'm very public about it. I've been blogging since 2008.
Right.
We've been doing this show for over a year and a half now. And so my opinions are well known, and more often than not, I discover people make assumptions about my position on things, and they don't know what my position is because they've never read anything I wrote. But yet I have thousands and thousands of pieces of evidence that say this is where I stand on the issue, and you don't have a clue. But anyway, you encounter that in the public school system. You encounter that like for Obama in 2012. And I wrote a post because one of my kids saw some Obama campaign signs in the Merrimack school system. And I said, well, were there, opposing signs? Were there Romney signs? And they were like, no. I said, all right, well, I have an issue with that. I don't care if you put an Obama sign in the room as long as there's a Romney sign. I don't care if you put up a note about helping this campaign unless you put up a note about helping that campaign. So my issue wasn't that somebody was saying, oh, we're just going to promote one side. My issue was, why don't you promote both? And let the people decide. And I know they're going to pick, it's a liberal culture, sort of, that tends to lean left. And kids are like that. It's always been that way. The youth is always more liberal leaning. As you get older, you discover that there are certain things about the way government works and the way people behave that is not conducive to successful economic freedom if you lean left. And you start to lean right.
Right.
I did it. I didn't really pay any attention to politics until I was really in my 30s. And so my kids have a unique perspective, but they see things and they go, I was in my English class and I had to write a paper about green energy. I'm like, why are you writing a paper about green energy in English class? I said, so, well, what are your options? And he told me what your options were. He could write about wind or solar or, we chose the safest one because I said, you still have to write the paper. You still have to get the grade and the teacher decides that. I will take care of the other stuff outside,
Right.
And so he wrote a paper about ethanol from like growing fungus or something or mold, something algae it was, and a lot of people don't do that. Their kids don't know. They're not aware of the indoctrination that occurs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you really, and school choice would address that, which is why the Democrats are so scared to death of it.
Yeah, they really are. It's kind of funny because I'm thinking about a lot of the issues that are going on, and when it comes to young people, the Republican Party has a very hard time articulating its side, and so when they see the Democrats winning on feel-good issues, the young people go, that's great, I like that, I'm going to gravitate toward it, it's something to fight for. The Democrats go, yeah, money, everything, we'll give you, you can be dependent on us and the government. And the Republicans go, well, they're winning on that issue, so maybe we should just kind of be like them in certain ways and win on those. You can't do, that's not principled. Republicans have got to be principled. You got to stand on what you believe because that's what people want. They want honesty. You know, and
you got to win the argument, and then you got to win the win the votes. And you know, if you educate them and bring